Hello there race fans, it's Apex Predator here again. So today we've got 2 daily C races at Bluemoon, Group 3. And Group 3 cars feel so nice on this track. I really like this track. It's the Infield A layout of Bluemoon. I think it came with 1.13, so a month or so ago now. And we're starting in 4th. We've got 3 SS drivers in front of us with a leading AS driver, because I'm still not back to SS yet. And you can see I'm waiting until I can press start menu to get in here and check my settings, because every time I start a race my torque setting isn't where I want it to be. So it's not too bad in a car, because you saw there I just changed it from a 4 to a 3. So quite marginal, but it is noticeable. But when I'm in a kart race and I start the kart race and my torque settings at like 4, it feels really noticeable. It's really irritating me. So I wonder if I'm just not setting it in the right menu for it to persist, but that's bothering me at the moment. But anyway, so we're starting in 4th, take it nice and easy in turn 1. A bit of fuel saving because it's a long race. You don't need to fuel save to make it up to the halfway point, but obviously the more you fuel save and maintain pace, the quicker that pit stop will be. So is it Malcolm? I'm going to call him Malcolm for this race. Me and this guy had an excellent battle for P3. So McLaren on P1, I've seen him in a few people's videos, whether it's Tidgney or Spurgey. And I think he's been, Cuba Tom races with him a lot. So M Thomas, these guys are the faster SS drivers. So I've seen McLaren racing with those guys a few times. So I know this guy's a lot faster than me. So I'm probably not going to be able to challenge for P1. But we're going to have a good scrap for P3 with this Malcolm guy for most of this race. And unfortunately, it was spoilt by the penalties. Well, penalties and me. Well, let's see. But until that point, we had a really good battle for, like I say, probably a good 12, 13, 14 laps. The penalty didn't come until right at the end. And the Corvette was the car choice for this track. I'm pretty sure all of the top in this race I'm talking about, I think every car in front is the Corvette. I can't quite tell from here. And as you can see as well, 4 Brits as well. So all British podium at the moment. Not that it matters, but just a little observation I had. Must have just come on at the right time. When everyone's, maybe we've all had our dinner, so we're just coming on for a bit of Gran Turismo Sport in the evening. So we've dropped back a little bit through that lap, but not too much of an issue because we've got the toe, and I think I seem to be a bit more confident on the track than Malcolm, this guy in front of us, P3. So it's not too much of an issue at the moment. And like I say, I'm not really in the race for winning this race. I'm not going to beat the fast S drivers at the moment. But I am feeling a lot more confident with my setup now. So I think I just got to rank S, DRS that is. SRS you can get very easily. I think I just got to DRS a bit too quickly for myself. I was still faffing about with my setup, trying to get comfortable. And I think what happened is I had a couple of good races. So when this Bluemoon first came out, I was up to speed on it quite quickly. I was having some races with Bocamomo and Dayrone, and I was finishing ahead of quite a few S ranks on that race. And similarly with was a Group 1 race at Monza that I had some good results at. Brands, I remember beating a few SS drivers at Brands because they made some mistakes. So that's how I got into S, but I wasn't really feeling that fast. I wasn't comfortable with my setup, and so I got to S, still trying to get comfortable with my wheel and my settings and everything, and then the penalty system got changed. So I think I just hit it at a really bad time. So I'm slowly sort of working my way back up there again, because I do feel I'm fully aware that I'm quite a slow S rank driver, but I don't know where else you'd put me, because when I get dropped down, I don't have very good races with other A drivers. I tend to just pull away from the front. So this race, as you can see, the only cars in front of me are S rank drivers. So maybe top of A class is where it's a good spot for me at the moment. So I can beat the A drivers, but I'm still going to get beaten by the S drivers, and that's probably about right. But I'm always going to be at the moment quite close between the 2 classes. So I'll probably make it to S, get knocked down again, have a few easy races, get to S again. I just need to maybe improve my own driving. But like I say, now I've got the setup comfortable. I was even adjusting my pedals yesterday, so that's how much I've been changing. sitting a bit lower in the seat. I've changed my pedal distance. I've moved the wheel a bit further away, so I was getting cramp in my arm and my shoulder. So I'm feeling a bit more comfortable now. So I feel like now I can sort of access my own limits and my own speed and learn the game a bit. So I'm going to get up to speed now. And I think you can see that in my driving. I'm feeling a lot more confident, able to push the car a bit more, able to drive the thing how I'd like to. So anyway, that's enough talking about my setup and my driving. So yeah, firmly in the tow. We're still in 4th place, but it's a long race, remember, so I've been trying to just do a little bit of fuel management early on. Don't try and not take too much out of my tyres. Pretty much going to pit at half distance. I think that's the optimal strategy, because it's a high speed track with some long corners. You will take a lot out of your tyres, so there's no reason to not pit at half distance really. And in qualifying I was adjusting my brake bias for this corner, this hairpin, because for the rest of the lap I had a quite strong rear bias, so that's positive brake bias towards the rear, just because the Corvette, I've not driven the Corvette much, that's another point to make, but on this track I felt it just understeered a little bit in the first, particularly the first corner. The first sector, I don't know where the sectors are, but pretty much the whole of the lap until you get to that hairpin, basically, I found positive results from having a positive brake bias. But in qualifying I was adjusting that back just to neutral, just so I had a bit more bite on the front for that corner, because I couldn't brake too hard, otherwise the rear starts to step out, and you'll see that a bit later on in the race. So yeah, in qualifying I was adjusting the two, but in the race I find faffing about with brake bias on the knobs that I have on my wheel, one of them's a little bit loose, so when I try and make a fine adjustment it will often go like 3, 4, 5 in the opposite direction to what I want, and when that happens when you're trying to brake, it's just really off-putting. So I've learnt my lesson of faffing about with that stuff in the race, but I just don't want to do it at the moment, so I'd rather find a compromise. So in qualifying, most of the lap I was running with a 4 brake bias, switching it to neutral, to 0 for that one corner, and then switching back to 4 for the rest of the lap. I was probably doing it just after this banking, because there's a nice straight, obviously it's easy to do, and there's another nice opportunity just on the approach to that hairpin, so before you go under the bridge there's a good opportunity there just to flick it back to 0. So I was doing that in qualifying. Like I said, I'm not wanting to do that in the race really. I'd rather just find a compromise. So in the race I compromised with 2, so it still gave me just enough for this corner, enough rotation, and just enough bite for the hairpin. But if I'm being pressured and I need to brake harder than I'd like, I don't quite have the stability in the car for the hairpin. So bear that in mind with this race. And the race after it as well, because yeah, like I say, so we're into 3rd. I think Malcolm made a mistake and we capitalised. So he's going to be just wanting to keep it tidy and fuel save a bit. We're going to be sort of on that same vibe, just trying to keep it tidy, not trying to push too hard. Because like I say, although I've got a whiff of P2 here, I'm not really feeling confident enough in my driving to push through it yet. So we're just going to try and bring home the P3 here. That's the goal for this race. And like I say, just as long as I'm consistently top of the A drivers and occasionally mixing it with the S, I'm happy for now. But I'm not going to settle for that. Like I say, I'm happy with that, considering how much faffing with my setup I've been doing. And now I feel comfortable. Now I can start to aim to be a bit higher up that S rank if I can. We'll see. I'm not going to be doing too much racing today or tomorrow, so I've got a real race tomorrow, a go-kart race, which I'm not sure if I'm going to film it. I might film it and then see what I want to do with what footage I get, but it'll likely be quite boring, to be honest. Although it's going to be 3 sprint races. So what we're going to do is we're going to qualify, have race 1 based on qualifying, and then race 2 and race 3 will be reverse grids based on the previous race results. So it's quite a good little format that we're going to be doing. Anyway. So that's tomorrow for me. Probably not going to be doing too much Gran Turismo because I just want to be concentrating on that. Start to feel the tyre wear a bit, particularly on the last sector. So the Vette I found understeered on that last corner. Had to be braking and turning it in quite early, taking lots of curves as always. Here we go. Let's see if these guys can do a better job than Haas. Get that wheel gun straight, son. There he is. No threaded wheel nuts. Lovely job. Let's get the fuel in. And off we go. Right, so I took a bit extra fuel because I felt like I was going to be in front of Malcolm for the second stint rather than where I was behind him in the first. So when you're behind someone, you can short shift, you can use the torque. The Corvette, obviously, with a large displacement engine, has a lot of torque anyway, but you can still benefit from being in the tow. Yeah, and being in the high gear and being in the slipstream. So I felt, because I knew I was likely going to come out in front of him after the pit stop, took a little bit extra fuel just so I could try and, especially on that straight, I might, if I'm not short shifting and if he's in the tow, I'm just going to need to be longer in the gear than I was in the first stint. So I factored that in, and we still exited the pits in front of him, so that's fine. So fuel's not a problem now. I think I had too much fuel in the end, but that's okay. Really aim for that wall there. Not that one though. I think we just brushed it there, which will have compromised me down this straight. And as you can see, Malcolm's looking up the inside. I've not really defended. I'm quite happy just to have a race. And you'll see that from me. I don't really defend unless it's like the last couple of laps. I won't defend too hard. If someone's got a run, I'll just let them have a run and we can have a race. So through the marbles there, wide on entrance. Just knowing that he was going to be tight on entrance, but he's going for the move, so we'll likely have a run on him here. Left him room, look. Had a little wobble because we left him room, but that's fine. Bit wide there, but that's because we had that wobble. But he's very close in the toe again. So I have defended here, which isn't something I'd normally like to do, but starting to bottle up a little bit, starting to feel like I'm the cork in the bottle here a little bit. But I'm here on merit, so if you're going to get past me, you know, come and get past me. You can see how much longer we're staying in 5th gear. But that's necessary to try and have a chance of defending into turn 1 at the end of the lap. So I know he's on the inside. You can see on the radar he's... Oh, we're very wide, but we might just hold on to it. Now, I know he's on the inside, so I've left him space, but we still managed to maintain the position. But you can sense he's just measuring up as well. He's just seeing how fast he can take that corner on certain lines. If he's, if I'm on the outside and he's looking at the inside, how fast can he run in, how much does he need to brake, what sort of rotation does the car need, all these sorts of things. Each lap you're building a profile of any potential overtakes that you can do later in the race, if that makes sense. So that will all go in the data bank upstairs. We'll see how I've defended turn 1 and what that's led to, how he's been compromised for his turn 2 because of how he took turn 1 or vice versa with me. It's all data that's been collected and analysed. And you use that then to inform future racing decisions. He's down inside again. I've not hung it around the outside like I did as much as I did that last lap. I don't want to be on the marbles. As a result, we've got a good run, but we're not far enough alongside to do anything, so that's fine. And then there, just a little tap there. And you can see I felt bad about it, so I hung back. It was a mistake, it was an accident, nothing malicious. But we got a 5-second penalty for it. He got a 1-second penalty for it, which is served here. I don't want to overtake him because obviously I touched him from behind, so I'm happy to yield, which I'd done anyway. I lifted as soon as I tapped him. So is that penalty really necessary? I'd already lifted, and his wasn't. His definitely wasn't, but I don't think mine was, because now look what happens. That was my fault, alright. This one, arguably I shouldn't be on the outside, but I mean, I am, so... And then, yeah, so that's like a 15 seconds penalty now, just completely ruined the race. Completely ruined the race. So yeah, what a bummer, right? So, after that race, I moved on to do a Nations race, because it was another race using the M3 Evo at Tsukuba. So I was really keen to do that, so I left this race to move on to do that one, and I came back a little bit later on just because I knew I had more pace. I knew that race didn't go very well, and I wanted to see what kind of a result I could get, so I came back to this race, and that's why it's a replay, which I'll apologise for, because I wasn't recording it, because I wasn't doing it for the channel. I was just doing this race just for me, just to see what kind of a result I could get, because I had quite a good qualifying lap in the Vette. I wasn't quite in the 106s like the top 10, but I was a 107.1, so I was a good 107. With a 106.9 as the optimal, so pace was quite good. Jamie's an SS driver, this guy in front of us now, so he's in the WRX, which I'd say isn't the car of choice, the Corvette is. But I've won this race before using the Z4, which definitely isn't the car of choice, quite slow on the straights. So I think he's probably got me on the infield bits. I think the WRX will be quite nice on the infield, but obviously we're gonna, with the big engine from the Vette, we're gonna blast past on the straights. But I just thought this was quite a nice little race, worth adding on to the end of that race, I thought. So yeah, apologies that it's not a direct rip, it's the replay, but the replay allows some extra views, so it's not all bad. So I think what we're going to do is hop into the external replay camera, and you can see that you can watch the race, because like I say, Group 3 cars are really well suited to this track. They're nice to watch. Oh yeah, one thing I should add as well is we started the race on lap 2, not lap 1. So we're on lap 3 now. He's getting right close in the mirror, right behind us in the mirror. And remember what I said about my brake bias for this corner here. I have to be quite careful, or I have to switch back and adjust it. But because I know that I'm going to be racing, I've got the radar camera up now, so I don't really want to be faffing about trying to adjust my brake bias, because I'll just lose a few tenths, losing concentration doing that. So we're still we've still got positive bias. It's still +2, but I'd rather it be on +4 for the first few corners and 0 for that hairpin. But we can manage it. It's just if I'm getting pressured into the hairpin, I can't brake that hard, because the rear of the car will start to come around. Anyway, starting lap 4. Remember, it's a long race, so anything you can save fuel-wise and tyre-wise will be beneficial. And you know he'll be saving some fuel in the tow. Cautious there. Cautious here. Easy to overwork your tyres in those 2 corners. I wasn't very comfortable in this corner, or very close to that wall. As long as you don't touch either walls, you'll be okay. I'm going to bring us to the end of stint 1. Jamie has a little look on the inside, so we'll go outboard. And you can see I'm using the old C5 livery. Sort of iconic Corvette livery. It's quite a prominent car in Gran Turismo 3, if any of you remember that far back. I remember this and the Team Orica Viper, the red one with the white stripes. Very iconic. The Falcon V8 supercar, the Ford Falcon, I remember that in that game. Yeah, Jamie just caught the wall there on the end of lap 7, so he wasn't really in touch for lap 8, and we pitted at the end of lap 8. So here we are now, the end of the in-lap. See, we pretty much maintained that gap, take a lot of inside curve on that last corner. It's a lovely shot, that one. Here we go for another pit stop. They're like clockwork, these guys. Look at that. So you can see the fuel values. So I know this Subaru is going to be quite quick on fresh tyres through the infield section, but he's going to have to find a way past, which is going to be quite hard for him. So I said this to him after the race. I think the best car won this race. I think the Corvette was definitely the car of choice. But like I say, the last time I did this race, I used the Z4, and back then it was the M6 that was the car of choice. And I've not driven the Vette too much, so I just fancied taking the Vette out for a drive. It feels really nice on this track. It's probably a good track for the Corvette, well suited to it. You can punch out of these corners well. And yeah, my best lap the first time I did this race in the Z4 was like a 107.7 or something, 107.5 I think possibly, but I absolutely couldn't get it any lower. And I hopped in the Vette and I did a lap that I felt wasn't particularly good, quite untidy, and it was like a 107.3. So instantly you know that you've got a car that's well suited to the track, or the Z4 was just horribly unsuited to it. Could be equally that. But I enjoyed driving it around, it was alright. But yeah, I think the Vette was much quicker. So he's got past us here. Good run down the straight into turn 1. You heard me lift, you could hear the fuel being dumped on the Vette's exhaust on the overrun. I don't mind them coming through as well. There's a chance to squeeze in a bit of fuel saving if I need to. And I'm pretty confident he's not going to pull away on the straight, so it's fine. I don't need to fight it too hard. There we go then, in the toe. Send it cleanly up the inside. Hold the line, so look, he's looking for the undercut. I'm not sure if it's going to be on, but we're aware of it. He has got a good run. So I've not turned in how I'd usually turn in. I've left him space, look. I'll just show you it from my view. I'm trying to hold the inside because I know he's looking for the undercut, because it's one of my favourite moves on this track. So he's not really alongside, look, but I know he's there and I know that he's looking, so I've left him the space and he's gone and taken the move. I'd rather leave the space than turn in pretending he's not there when he is and get a penalty and possibly go off the track. So you need to leave racing room. I've so many times that people would have just turned in there, and it's like, and I probably could have done because he wasn't quite alongside. But I'd rather leave people racing room. I'd rather race, you know, very close to the wall there. You see how much curb I took. But that means you can be on the throttle that bit sooner. The tighter you are to the inside of that corner, the earlier you can be on the throttle, and that will yield you laps on them all the way down this straight. So he's not quite close enough, I don't think, to do the cutback here. So I should be able to turn in and take this corner how I'd like. Yeah, very close to that wall. But you can see what I mean about the ranking, how I'm a bit in limbo at the moment, because I beat A-class drivers quite easily. It's not really challenging for me, but I'm not good enough to give most S-class drivers a good run for their money. So, yeah, that's where we are. Because I think if Jamie had the Corvette, I mean, who knows? I don't want to write myself off, but you saw how I struggled in that first race against McLaren. The guy in P2, I can't remember his name, and the Malcolm guy we were racing with for third. So I should have got third in that race, and I fluffed it up, getting the penalties, and ended up coming 9th. So I know I'm not good enough really to represent the S-Class just yet, but I think with a bit of work and a bit of self-improvement, we can maybe get there. Would have been interesting if Jamie had the Corvette, I think, this race. But we had a good race anyway with him in the Subaru. But I just feel like the Corvette's the better car. It felt like the best car won, let's put it that way. So I see him here looking up the inside, but when he pulls back in, so I brake a bit deeper than I would have liked because he pulled back in there. The amount of times I've been hitting the rear, but that meant that I got really good drive out of the first part of the hairpin for this next stage. So he just couldn't cover me off like he'd like to. And again, good apex there, good drive out, and that was the last sort of bit of fight he gave, really. I think obviously after this the tyres would have gone off a bit. And that was it, so we cut to the final lap. That last defence was enough. I think even here I was trying to back up the P2 up a little bit into him. So there we go. That was the end of my day on Gran Turismo this race. But like I say, I wasn't planning on recording this one, but it turned out to be quite a good little scrap. So it's always nice to just stick a victory on the end of a video as well. So there we go. That was the daily at Blue Moon Group 3. Really, really enjoyed it. Great car to the track, and I hope you guys enjoyed. All right, I'll see you again soon. Thank you. Bye.